on Twitter. Welcome to Basketball on Figueroa, the only podcast breaking down everything happening with the Lakers, Clippers, and Sparks. I'm your host, Edwin Garcia, and joining me today, as usual, is my co-host, Dar E.N. Viziri, a.k.a. Dime Dropper. Dime, how you doing, man?
Pretty solid, man. Could be better, could be worse. Yourself?
Oh man, it's been fun. It hasn't been boring, that's for sure. With everything going on with the draft and everything happening with the Sparks and everything, it's just been like madness. So I'm really looking forward to today. We got so much to talk about with Brink and JJ Redick and Bronny James, and I'm just pumped to talk about it. So I can't wait to get into it. How you doing?
Solid, man. Episode 33 for everybody that's watching live right now. We are live from Los Angeles. Join us on YouTube. We can obviously watch on Twitter as well. We prefer the YouTube. You can comment there, interact with the chat, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We are looking to get to 15,000 subscribers this summer. So please do your boy a solid and come to YouTube. The link is posted all over my Twitter. But yeah, for everybody that's listening on audio as well, we appreciate you. This is episode 33. You wanted to start with Bronny James, huh? Should we go right away? Get into that?
Let's do it in order, kind of how we do normally with everything that we do, right? It's always like chronologically. So we'll start there. So before we get to Bronny, let's get to the first pick for the Lakers, which was the number 17 pick, right? And they got Dalton Connect. That was a surprise for me. I'm just going to kind of give a quick recap of, what I'm feeling, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. He was, from all accounts and all mock drafts I saw, he was supposed to be around the 7th pick, the 10th pick, the 9th pick. That was around the range people were having him at. And lo and behold, he fell to the Lakers. And, I mean, the Lakers scooped him up. I don't think there was much conversation once they saw how low he fell, and that they fell, basically into their lap. And, Tennessee Volunteer, really great shooter. And I really love the pick. I just feel like it's a no-brainer. It's a player that fell to you, and hey, it also fits a lot of their needs. So what did you think when you saw him falling and when you saw the Lakers ultimately pick him?
I've never seen him play, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I have and know stuff about him. So I didn't know enough. This was the draft class that I knew the least about in all my years watching basketball. I can't lie. And I saw a lot of tweets about other people feeling the same way. I knew nothing about the first overall pick. So I am not the guy to go to for draft stuff on this year, except for like Isaiah Collier, people that were like, USC, UCLA players.
Yeah, for me, I found out quickly because, I was talking with my boss, and it's like, hey, man, looks like the Lakers are going to keep this pick when you start doing research. So as many full games as I watched, not much, but like film, tape, podcast, I really ramped it up the last couple weeks. Kind of once we realized the Lakers are probably going to use this pick, then it became like, okay, who are the 5-6 players that, they might draft, and start doing the research. I still didn't do that much on Dalton because I did not expect him to fall. I didn't think he was going to fall to them. So I was more focused on players like Zach Edey and players that were kind of projected to be in that range. Like I was looking more at like 13 to 22, something like that, and seeing what happened. So I was really surprised when I saw someone that high, even be an option, which I think was great. So for me, I'm overall happy with it. Again, these are first round picks. You don't want to necessarily miss on your first round picks, but also, you know how it is. It's a crapshoot a little bit. Like last year, we saw it was a disaster for the Lakers, not because JHS is so bad, but just every player taken after him was good. You had Hawkins, you had Pods, you had Cam, and they all were good, productive rookies. And then the Lakers rookie, he barely touched the floor. So that happens sometimes. It's really still not a guess, but we just really don't know. It's funny seeing people think, oh no, they killed it or they got a good one. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we'll see. That's how the draft is. It's so hard to get these things right. People get paid a lot of money to do it, and they struggle too. So we'll see. But I was really excited for that pick. And that was the only pick the Lakers had in the first round. The Clippers didn't have any picks. They gave them all away through different trades and things of that nature. So they only had the number 2 pick. So we're actually going to go there first because that's the order. Number 46, Clippers take Cam Christie. Now, Cam, I did see a good amount play because of his affiliation with his brother. There was an off chance the Lakers were going to get him. I just thought it would be very unlikely, not only because of Bronny, but because, do you really want to develop the entire family there? It's kind of weird. You already got to figure out what's going on with Max, and I think thought it would just be weird if they also got Cam. But he looks like a good prospect. I like his game from what I've seen. Dime, I know you weren't like you said, you weren't as interested in the draft this year. Didn't know as many of the players, and you guys only had this second round pick. But what are your overall thoughts about getting your own Christie there in Clipperland?
Well, you can never have too many wings that can shoot the ball. His percentages from three were pretty good last season. I saw that he shot 50% from the right corner from three. But again, depending on the direction the Clippers go, a guy like that won't be playing that many minutes, and he's just going to be another guy that's sent to Ontario most likely. But if we do go a different direction, then maybe he does have a chance to get some minutes. And depending on who the Clippers could lose, even if they do run it back, maybe there's a chance for him to get a little role. I highly doubt it. But if it's anything like his brother, I like Max Christie, so I'm happy and positive about it. And he's only been in college for what? It was one season.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So compared to last season, we took older rookies. It's nice to see that, and I'm hoping the best. I'm wishing the best, wishing him the best.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good pick. It's a good selection. I like his game. Very similar to his brother. I've seen people be like, is he better? Is he worse? And, I've kind of, it's been a mixed bag for me. I've seen a few people say he's probably better. I've seen a few people say he's a little bit worse. So he's around that level. I thought it was really cool that his brother was there for him, taking pictures. I did not like seeing him wearing the Clippers hat, even to rock for his brother. I'm like, and he mentioned it, he's like, hey, I know we're Lakers, but, today, I'm a Clipper with my brother. He put the hat on. I'm like, just don't put the hat on. Take the pictures. Don't put the hat on. It was a little weird, but obviously for him, it was great. And, again, it's awesome to see a whole family kind of achieve the ultimate dream and kind of pursue it. I think if he does stick around and make the roster and all that, I think you will like his game. Like you said, you can never, have too many wings. It's something every team's desperately looking for, size and versatility on the wings. That's what the NBA's really, kind of become. So you think you got a potential one who could maybe make a roster, be a rotation player? That's an easy decision to make, versus maybe just a big that you're not sure. It's a high demand position that it makes sense to draft that. Now here. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I forgot. Shout out to my man, Oscar. He reminded me. I forgot the Clippers G League team did move to San Diego, so they became the San Diego Clippers again. I totally forgot about that. They're no longer in Ontario. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
I think that's a bit of a bummer because I think it's good to be in the region that you're at. It makes sense to me. But I don't know. I like the fact that we're in Ontario, even though it was a little bit further away. I think it's going to make coverage of them harder and things of that nature. Maybe some San Diegans can go out there and do that work. But that's the Clippers. That was their decision. But yes, they recently made that decision. So that's where they'll be playing if he's going to be on a two-way and things of that nature. Obviously, they haven't announced anything like that just yet. So probably going to play it out and see if he's going to get one of those spots or just a straight up roster spot. We'll see what again. We're going to know a lot more about both teams' rosters in about a week or so when a lot of these free agent things go down. Now, the moment everyone was talking about all day, I mean, it was just, my goodness. So number 55, the Lakers select Bronny James. It was something we've all pretty much knew was probably going to happen, would likely happen. Maybe a team would go in there and snipe him away. And Dime, were you watching it live? Did you see the clips? Because I watched the whole thing. Obviously, I was very locked in, writing so much for Silver Screen and Roll about it. Did you see kind of how the conversation was going as we got closer and closer to 55?
No, man, I was still at work. The draft was earlier than I thought.
Yeah, 1 p.m. I kind of kept it going. So I'll kind of tell you what happened just in case, you didn't get all the details. But one thing that kind of, became a big story in the middle of the draft was Bob Myers was, doing coverage with ESPN, and he went up there and said, someone asked him, what do you think's happening behind the scenes? And he said, well, Rich Paul is, likely talking to their teams, telling them, don't take Bronny. If you take Bronny, he's going to play in Australia, this and that. They're trying to do everything they can to make sure, he goes to the Lakers. And that kind of became a big story. Oh, how could they do that? How could this be happening? This is a travesty. It's too much power. This is ridiculous and this and that. So I thought that obviously this was kind of stuff that people knew was happening. This happens a lot with second round draft picks. I think people were surprised to hear things like, guess what? Austin Reeves could have been drafted in the second round. He chose to go undrafted. Different players get asked, are you willing to go on a two-way if we take you in the second round? And if they say no, then they move on. So it's not as ridiculous as it sounds, but obviously talking about Bronny James has been a lightning rod since pretty much, Sierra Canyon at this point. It's been, oh, is he really that good? Why is he on Sierra Canyon? Is he really that good? Oh, USC, he's only scoring 6 points. Like, is he really that good? Oh, is he worth a second round pick? I just thought it was funny. It went from, is he worth a second round pick to, it's not fair the Lakers get to draft him and someone else doesn't get him. And people, making all these ridiculous claims like a team should out of spite just draft him. I'm like, that wouldn't be a good GM cannot hate LeBron so much that they draft his son out of spite. It just wouldn't be good business to be like, oh, why'd you do it? Oh, just to hate on him. It's like, I think you forgot what our job is, to try to win a title.
What about the bargaining chip?
The Celtics doing it for ransom to try to get Austin Reeves was hilarious. But I want to hear some of your thoughts. I know sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. I want to hear what you think about the situation. One, the drama and all that about other teams being unable to get him, and two, ultimately, what getting him means for the Lakers.
I mean, the drama of him, teams being unable to get him and all that, I don't really care about. It's not the first time we've seen agents do those kind of things. As far as the Lakers picking him, I didn't think it was out of the realm of possibilities, but I was a little surprised, not going to lie, that they actually did it. I was fairly convinced that it was all just hype and that Bronny was going to actually end up going back to college. Maybe I was naive to believe that, because I genuinely, I'm a USC fan. And for those that don't know, like, I was literally at his first game as a Trojan, and I've linked the video in the comment section on YouTube if you want to see it. Had a great seat. And I mean, I saw what Bronny was good at. He's a very good on-ball defender. He can shoot the ball well in catch and shoot setting, but he doesn't really have the creation, or didn't show any creation at the collegiate level, at the D1 level. And of course, he was playing behind Isaiah Collier, Boogie Ellis, and other guards. But to me, he needed another year of college. If we're just talking about the player, I mean, I could be wrong, but I genuinely believe if you want to just talk about good, like NBA level defenders that can shoot a little bit but have no creation, there's probably a lot of other guys in the NCAA that we don't really know about. And that's not even to sound messed up, but I just think that's the truth. But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story, right? And I have nothing against him personally. I just think that he could have used another year of college. I think college basketball, for those, if you're a one and done and you're clearly a one and done, then like by all means, fine. But I'm always pro players getting multiple years of college, because it's just teaches you a different way of playing. And, it's a different game in college, less space, there's defensive three, you see more zones, all this kind of stuff. So I think it's good to play in those different kinds of settings of basketball. But I mean, what a story, right? For me, more than anything, it's an amazing accomplishment for LeBron. The fact that he's still able to play at such a high level, that we're even talking about his son getting drafted. I mean, I remember when he was literally a little kid sitting on the bench, and I was like, man, look at that. It's so cool. LeBron, such a young dad. That was like in 2007. I was like a 7-8-year-old kid, and I remember Bronny sitting there with the head on the towel, laying by the Cavs bench. So it is pretty crazy that I was at his first game, and it's even crazier now to hear that he's going to actually play with LeBron. I'm guessing he's going to spend a lot of time with the South Bay Lakers, but just there might be one moment this season, at least, where we see LeBron and Bronny just take the court together just for the moment. And I wonder how after this season that's going to affect LeBron's, future, because what else does he have to prove? I mean, he's still playing at such a high level, but what else does he have to prove?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Absolutely. And yes, one thing you said that, kind of struck me as well was the college experience, and college basketball. It's really at a crossroads here. If you watch the draft, or even if you just, look up the draft picks, what do you see? France, Sweden, France. It's a lot of international. I think half was international. So if half's international, that means the collegiate basketball player is not even getting drafted, right? There's even some G League Ignite got a bunch of players. Obviously, they're disbanded, so you won't see that again. But it's an interesting thing. They have to figure that out. They're not developing the players staying or not staying. They're just not. The numbers aren't there anymore. It's even harder to be an NBA player. It seems like there are so many different options, and those options are proving to be better. So I think that's something the NCAA. It's kind of tough because everyone kind of treats each program as its own entity, and then there's conferences, but kind of like what it's really wild comparison, but kind of what Germany did with their league, Bundesliga, when they decided, hey, we got a certain way we're going to all play and agree on, and kind of let's build the system. I think the NCAA is going to have to think about what product they're putting out there, and how they're actually working with the NBA. I know they kind of talk like they don't work together, but they kind of do. I mean, there has to be some kind of conversations there, because I think that's one of the reasons why you don't know the players. They don't stay that long. The play is different. I would say the play is definitely much worse than it was when I was growing up, because players were there for 3-4 years. But also the one and done rule, it kind of helped the NCAA, but really hurt them. I think we should probably go back to, hey, if you want to go, just go, and if you're going to stay, maybe 2-year minimum. That way you actually develop, and then we can only get the players who truly shouldn't even be there, moving on and this and that. So again, that's probably a bigger conversation, but I think that's something definitely eye-opening in this draft was, how few players are staying long, and kind of what that means for the American player, which they kind of talked about at the end on ESPN about this draft and what they learned. It's like, hey, there's not a lot of American guys that we talked about here. It was very international. And again, I love the game growing, but this is our game. And that means that we're not producing enough players at a high level to be in this game. So something to think about. But yeah, for me, the Bronny thing, like you said, great moment. Honestly, yes, we'd all be lying if we said his name didn't help. If he was, Donald Rodriguez, he's probably not, he's probably coming back to USC and being like, oh, I got to get a starting spot in this and that. But his name's not Donnie Rodriguez, it's Bronny James. That definitely helps. That's an advantage. And he used that advantage, and he got this opportunity. And I think, as if you think it's fair, unfair, whatever, like at the end of the day, the basketball is going to decide it. If he's really trash, the Lakers aren't going to give him a bunch of minutes, and he's getting killed out there, and he's on ISOs, and they're like picking on him and switching on defense. And LeBron, it's going to go viral the first time he misses. He blows the close out, and LeBron's yelling at him. I mean, he does that stuff all the time to everyone. If I know LeBron the way I think I do, he's still a competitor. He's going to want his son to, be good, especially if he's going to get significant minutes out there. So it's going to be interesting seeing that and the lobs and all that. Summer League's going to be a zoo. It's going to be pandemonium when he comes out there, and if he plays, which I assume he will. And then LeBron's sitting on the bench, and then that first dunk he gets on like a fast break, just like he did in that first game time with USC. That's going to be interesting. So it's a great moment, and this has happened very rarely in professional sports. It happened with Ken Griffey and his dad, but it's so funny. I was talking to someone about that today, and in that moment, Griffey was still decent, and his dad was very old. But here it's actually flipped. The dad is also very old, but he's still far and away better than his son. His son will still be on that bench with the towel while LeBron's out there trying to get the Lakers some wins in the Western Conference. So how crazy is that he's still far and away better than his son at basketball, who's a professional? It's crazy. LeBron's just ridiculous.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, there's no one that's done longevity the way he's done it. It's quite remarkable. But yeah, I'm interested to see it. Is it JJ next?
Yeah, let's go with JJ, and then we'll head back to we'll do actually, if you want to, we'll do JJ. If not, we can do Clippers and free agency. What do you want to hit first?
Fine, we can just talk about Paul George. I mean,
all right. So Paul George, Podcast P. Still don't know what's going to happen with his contract situation. We're hearing this, we're hearing that. You're hearing kind of both sides, and the money being an issue. As you know, money talks in this world, and that's been an issue here. So, Dime, what do you think is going to ultimately happen? Just your general opinion based on what you know, what you feel, and what the rumors have been.
Well, at first I thought there was no chance Paul George would leave us, and now I'm getting a little nervous. Not, to be honest, I'm not really getting nervous at all. Whatever happens, happens. His comments over the last week on Podcast P were very questionable, devaluing almost, the worth, not the worth of a championship, but how badly he seems to want to win. But we've seen that from his actions. He's talking about it's not the utmost priority or whatever it was. It's not about that. It's about playing the right way. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Is that a shot at the way we play basketball? Because you've had a say in almost every roster decision that we've made. It's just a lack of accountability over and over. But here's the thing. We don't want to let him leave for free. However, right after that episode came out, and I'm not saying I know that it's because of that episode, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers saw that and were like, yeah, that's the guy we want to offer a max. So it doesn't seem like the Sixers are going to do it. And let me ask you a question, Edwin. Do you think the Philadelphia 76ers should pay Paul George a max given the injury history with not only him, but Embiid? Because in theory, it does sound great, but what do you think?
I think it's tough. Maxey, Embiid, George. I mean, you can do a lot worse. I don't. I think I might do it just because what are the best options available for Philly. I don't think Philly does do it, and I think that ultimately he will end up staying in Los Angeles. I think he's just trying to get more money from them, and obviously the way you do that is you got to negotiate, you got to play a little bit of hardball and see who blinks. But I think I would do it if I was the Sixers, if I was Morey. But I would also say that I don't do. I think that's enough to compete with Boston and to compete with New York at this point. No, so there's the argument not to do it. It's not going to be enough to win a ring, and now it's another big contract that'll be hard to move later on. When you do realize, hey, we were just getting second round exits here. It's not worth all the money, and what are we doing here? So, I would do it reluctantly, but I think they probably won't, and I'm guessing that he does return to Los Angeles.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, the Clippers want to pay him. They don't want to pay him more than 3 years because Kawhi Leonard is only on their contract for 3 more years. He took less than the max. Paul George wants at least 4 years because this is the last big payday he's going to get. The thing that's really picked up steam in the last few days is the sign and trade route with the Warriors, because the Warriors are desperate to open Curry's window back up again. Because last year they really had no secondary guy. And Paul George would immediately become their second best player. I think the possibilities of him playing in that off-ball system with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and Draymond would be really good. I think he would get a lot of good looks. I think he would, if he's taking shots at our style, I mean, that has to be, taking shots at stagnant offense, slow offense, pick and roll centric, I guess, which is what we've played even before James Harden. If we're being real, it's just there's another guy in the mix now. But with the Warriors, it's just a very unique brand of ball. And it would be a good fit, but I don't think it gets the Warriors back to the title. The question is, are they willing to pay Paul George? And if they are, is he down to make that move? Because it's still in California. You know what I mean? It's still in California. You're playing with Steph Curry. It's not like you're moving to the East Coast. Do you think there's any possibility of that happening? And if there is, opt in and trade, then maybe we get something for him. And then we get one step closer to maybe blowing this sky high.
New stadium, new roster, I guess. Do I think there's a chance? Yes, but I think slim, because what we've heard before from the actual Warriors is not liking the fact that they're so high up in the tax and how much money they have to pay, and they didn't even make the playoffs. Now, Paul George, like you said, would improve their chances and make them a better team, but would it make them better? And I don't know what the numbers would be on what the tax would still be after that trade. I don't think it really sheds off money. And they before they were willing to pay all that stuff. I don't think they're willing to pay that anymore. So I think that's more. I would be more surprised if he was in Golden State than if he was in Philly for that reason. They have a very big bill right now, and that's not going to help things. So I think that's the problem with Golden State. I don't think they want to. They just don't want to pay that bill anymore, which makes sense. But that means, okay, well, how are you going to get better and help Steph if you're not willing to invest? They're in a tough spot. I'm very curious to see what Golden State does because, you see what's happening with Clay and all that, and now you have the situation with PG. The road's not looking good for the Clippers in terms of finding a way back to the mountaintop. It's starting to seem like that bridge is gone, and we're maybe a year or two away from Steph being like, hey, give me a chance to win somewhere else, man. Like that's where I see this is going. I would be surprised if Steph stays his whole career as a Warrior because I think he has more years left in him, and I don't think the Warriors can give it to him.
I don't think the Warriors can give it to him. So, I mean, what can they give him? You want him to? So you don't think Paul George is the answer?
No, to take that helps, but I don't think they're in a. I think they're in a tough spot. They went all in on their guys, and Clay's obviously too old. Draymond doesn't help in that way, and the West is caught up. They've advanced them, and they have this big luxury tax bill. They don't seem to want to keep paying that kind of tax and still try to compete. I mean, I think if Steph wants to stay there, he can stay there and probably end his career there. But I don't know. I think Steph probably has 4 more years left, and I think it'll be Steph who asks out in like a year or two when he's like, hey, when he sees that they cannot win with him there, and he'll want to go somewhere where he can win. That's where I see it going.
You think the Warriors would pick Clay and Draymond over Steph? They'd get rid of them before they get rid of Steph.
They will, but the problem is they won't be any better.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. You're building a team, and do you believe Steph Curry can still lead a team to a chip?
As the best player?
Yes.
Shaky.
Okay.
shaky. I would have to see the rest of the roster. I think he can be on a roster where he's one of the guys for sure.
We're roster building right now. So like, who's
Yeah.
we're roster building. Who's the guy that you put next to him? Like, if Paul George isn't good enough, we know as a second option, Paul George is a little shaky right now. I mean, who are we thinking here?
Well, he'd be great in. This is too crazy, but he'd be great in like Sacramento or something like that. You know, right?
No, we're talking about somebody coming to the Warriors.
Oh, see, the thing is, I don't think there's a good path for the Warriors to get back to the top, to get better. Yeah, of course, PG definitely helps that. They would probably be, I don't know, a 6 seed or something. But a 6 seed in the West, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see a path. I would have to go to the trade machine. I don't see a scenario where you can build a team and be like, yeah, this is top 4 in the West right now. With Steph and this roster, I just think they're too far away. They're just too far away. I don't see it happening. Do you see a scenario where they can build something to get top 4, let's say, regular season? The Warriors?
Not unless they got rid of Clay and Draymond. I think if they have those guys, it's going to be like you said, like around a 6 seed at best. Let's say they even if they get Paul George, it would have to be really revamping the team around Steph. But here's the thing, like Draymond Green still is an integral part of the things that they do, like offensively with the way Steph moves without the ball. He's their trigger man. And I think a lot of Curry fans have tried to devalue Draymond over the course of his career based on what he does. Or like, because people say like Draymond's a real point guard, and that it's like they don't really have a true point guard. Draymond is the initiator a lot of times, and then sometimes Steph will bring up the ball. But Draymond is the main guy that allows Steph to move off the ball and be so great. So it'll be hard to find somebody to replace a guy like that. And I don't think Steph wants him to be replaced. And then their defense would get a lot worse. Like Draymond is still a valuable defender. I mean, look, I love Klay Thompson. I think he's the one that probably needs to either go or come off the bench permanently. And I don't know if he'll do that. So you're right. The path is very tough for the Warriors, but I don't know. If I'm Golden State, that organization, I am not letting Steph Curry leave by any means ever. You got to go the Kobe route, even if it means not contending for a couple of years. You go out with Steph Curry wearing blue and gold.
But what I'm saying, even Kobe had an out late. They asked him if he wanted to go. I'm not saying that they're going to let him go. I'm saying he's going to want out to try to get another championship. That's what I think is going to happen.
Go ring chasing? It doesn't seem very Steph Curry.
A little bit, yeah. I know, but I think he's gonna. I think what's gonna happen is gonna realize I can still do it. Y'all can't do it. Can I get us? I don't think this will happen right away. I think he's gonna go this year, and I think the following year is when he'll probably break. When he's like, I don't think he's gonna do what LeBron's doing and say, you know what, it's cool. I'm gonna be here. Like, I'll be the man, and we'll struggle to beat Sacramento on a Tuesday in February. Like I think he's gonna get sick of that. That's my prediction. Unless they find a path, like you said, they get 6 seed, 5 seed, 4 seed, and they're like kind of knocking on the door, and he's like, no, we just need a few more tweaks. But I think they're really far. And I think if you would watch the interviews he gave during the trade deadline, to me, that was when I was starting to realize how frustrated he was with stuff. He talked about, we have to make changes. We can't just keep the team together this way. It's not going to work. Obviously everyone sees it, and they did. And I just started seeing more and more frustration from Steph about the situation. He kept it professional. Steph's not a knucklehead. He said the right things, but if you watch his tone and his body language and his expressions, you could tell he was frustrated. And he was also frustrated they didn't make any moves at the deadline. And then they missed the playoffs. And what's going to happen this offseason? If he keeps seeing that they're not going to make the adjustments necessary, I think as long as his play stays at this level, I think he might get sick of it and say, hey, guys, like, put me somewhere where I can win, and then that might be when he gets moved.
Well, we'll see. I mean, the moral of the story is Paul George has 2 days to decide whether he's going to opt in. If he opts in, it's very likely he's getting traded. If he opts out,
who else?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's all I had. If he opts out, it's like he's either signing a new contract with the Clippers, maybe they came to an agreement on a team-friendly deal, or he's getting a max from somewhere else. I don't believe someone's going to just pay him a max, like one of these teams that he could go to in free agency by opting out. I don't think they're going to have enough, or be willing to pay it. Go ahead.
Well, we have 2 other players. We might as well jump into it. And on the Lakers that have that same situation, I think someone else, is it Christian Wood also does? We're going to stick with the main ones. So the main ones that have the player option for the Lakers that are in the same situation that PG's in is LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell. They also have until, I think, 3 p.m. on the 29th. So in a couple days, like you said, the deadline. You have to opt in, you have to opt out. and those two players in that timeline. With LeBron, I think it's been well reported. I'm not breaking any news here. He's likely going to opt out and try to get more years. And it sounds like he wants a couple years and a no trade clause. And it sounds like the Lakers are going to happily give him that. So we're going to kind of keep it there. I mean, let's face facts. We haven't talked about Redick yet, but they got his boy as a coach. His son is on the team. They're going to give him a bunch of money. Like, he's not going anywhere, which is what I told people for many, many months when they keep asking. I'm like, he's going to stay. They're going to give him everything he wants. Like, why would he leave? Wouldn't it be wild though if he left right now? It would be like, what is going on? He's like, no, forget it. I don't want to play with JJ. I don't want to coach JJ, and I hate my kid. I'm going to go play somewhere else. But obviously, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he'll probably get a 3-year deal, have the no trade clause, just in case things go south in LA. They can't just ship him off for the highest bid. They have to take him somewhere he's happy with. I think that's what's going to happen. D'Lo, I honestly don't know. It's up in the air. I'm hearing reports he might stay, he might go, he might opt out. Does he have a bag if he opts out? So, Dime, I'm not going to ask you about LeBron. If you want to comment, you can, but I assume we both know the same thing. But D'Lo, what do you think happens with him?
Oh. How much money is it on the last year of his contract?
I believe it's $18 million. Let me look it up.
Oh, he's opting out. I think he.
So you think he can get way more than that? Yeah.
Not way more, but I think he can get more than that.
All right, let me. I'm pulling it up here. 18.6, so 18.6 million.
No, I think he can get more than that. I mean, he did have a rough playoffs yet again, but he was good in the regular season. Like, he was part of the big turnaround of the Lakers season. Like, let's not just forget about that because of the playoffs. He had a good regular season, and we're just talking about financials and just getting money. I think that
it's a 1-year deal,
especially in today's market, bro. Like, I think he's gonna want to get over 20 million, and it's probably like his last solid big contract that he could get. Right?
It depends how many years. I think if he gets another 1 year,
it depends on how many years he wants.
If he signs a 3-4 year deal, I agree with you. If he signs a 1-year deal, I don't agree with you. I think he could do it again. So yeah, man, if I had to bet, oh my goodness, it's so hard because I just don't know what the Lakers are doing. You know, like, they talked all this talk about, we got the 3 picks, we can go big game hunting. And they were like, actually, we're just gonna draft, Dalton here, right? So that happened, and then they kept D'Lo throughout the run when if they should have traded him if they're not going to bring him back. So I feel like you kind of have to, or else, like you said, he walks away for nothing. And it's like, you could have got DeJounte Murray, and then I think you should have got DeJounte Murray if you're going to just let D'Lo walk. So do they do a sign and trade? Do they just let him walk? They don't care. Do they give him a big bag and say, let's kind of repeat last year? Let's give him $24 million. He's happy. If it's not working out, we can trade him. This time we will trade him. Like, they might just run it back with the same idea, and D'Lo might say, hey, they keep betting on me, and I keep getting a bag for it. Let's do it. That very well might happen. One thing that was interesting to me, and we'll talk about it now as we transition to it, is JJ never mentioned D'Lo during the press conference. He talked for about 50 minutes. It was about 25, and then Pelinka, I'll give Pelinka credit. He said, hey, any people who are in the media, because, in those media scrums, for those who don't know, there's usually about 12 to 24 people, depending on how big of a thing it is. That one had about like 20 or so. And the way those media scrums go, it's kind of first come, first serve with asking questions. But the way it works is usually the number one sites get the first questions. And it just depends how much time's left, whether people like myself and other, media members get a chance to ask a question. So I usually have to fight for a question. I usually get one. Sometimes I don't. And when I don't, it's because ESPN and The Athletic and Yahoo just asked too many questions and we ran out of time. So I give Pelinka credit. He said, hey, we're pretty much done. It's been like 20-something minutes, but I'm going to let anyone who wants to ask who's here ask. And that's how we got double the time. We got 50 minutes. That's how we got the F-bombs that Redick dropped, which I'm going to ask you about in a minute. But transitioning from D'Lo to here, he never mentioned, in almost an hour, he never mentioned D'Lo. He mentioned LeBron. He mentioned AD. He mentioned Rui, Reeves, Christie. He mentioned so many players. And again, maybe it was just slipped his mind. He's not writing stuff down. Or maybe that's because he's not thinking of D'Lo. So I sometimes what people don't tell you comes out as interesting to me. So that was one of my takeaways there about the situation. But we're going to find out soon enough in a couple of days. Next time we record, we might already have information. We'll likely record, I think, on Tuesday time. And by then, we'll know who opted in, opted out, and maybe we have some deals to talk about. So it might be a very, very busy podcast on that one. But Dime, like I said, JJ spoke for 50 plus minutes. It was the worst kept secret in the NBA that he was the front runner. And then they said Hurley was, but then Hurley didn't want it and blah, blah, blah. End of the day, we all thought it was going to be Redick. It was Redick. Redick got the job. Redick spoke about it. It's all official. What were your thoughts? One, on the hire, and two, on the press conference and kind of how that went down?
Wow. I mean, anybody that knows me and knows my platform knows about my beef with JJ. It started 7 years ago when he was a member of the Clippers, and it's only gotten worse. So to all my great Laker fans that are subscribed to me, this is going to be the first of many times I tell you that I'm going to be a major hater this year until JJ's gone. Just major. He exacerbated the situation when he repeatedly attacked the greats of the game, like he was spewing agendas straight off of Twitter to support LeBron and tear down Jordan and various other greats for whatever reason. And honestly tainted, in my eyes, what is a very sharp basketball mind that knows the modern game inside out. But you know me, I don't like the attacking history, but I will try to be as objective as possible. And when I heard his comments, I mean, look, dude, JJ knows the modern game super well. If I want to look at it like with a positive attitude, if I were a Laker fan, I would say, you look at some of the best coaches in NBA history, role players. Phil Jackson, role player. Steve Kerr, role player. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Pat Riley, role player. So, and I don't think he's one of the best coaches in NBA history, but everybody knows what I think of him. But he has had a decent coaching career. Glenn Rivers.
Doc Rivers.
But he did make the All-Star team once, so maybe I'm selling him a little short as a player. But the point is, a lot of the great coaches in the history of the game are role players. And JJ, I think he might – I don't really know JJ as a guy at all. But he seems like because he played so recently and he has all these relationships with these guys, that might be an easy thing for him. Maybe he does have the trust of the guys right away and they feel comfortable with him, that he's kind of just like one of the guys, but he's like one of the guys with authority. The question is, will he be able to fully command the environment by literally having less coaching experience than me? He said 4th grade, bro. I coached 6th grade. So he literally has less coaching experience than me. Now, granted, he played at the highest level of the NBA and he played under Coach K. I haven't done nothing close to that. So I'm obviously joking, but it's real. It's real when we're talking about the actual coaching, and that is a different ball game. And let's be honest, Edwin, you and I can agree. This is basketball in Figueroa. This is LA basketball. There's no bigger job in the NBA than being the head coach of the Lakers. There's none, especially with LeBron James on it. The pressure's at an all-time high. As much as I dislike the guy and wish him nothing but the worst in the NBA, he's got a lot of balls to take this job, in my opinion. This is huge. No coaching experience. It's going to be a movie one way or the other, and I'm going to be rooting for it to be an absolute disaster. So he's back slandering the greats on First Take.
Can you imagine him on First Take? Yeah, back on First Take. Well, that's why honestly, he also...
Actually, no, forget First Take. I don't want him anywhere near talking about, that stuff. I'd rather him, it's a total collapse in LA, and then he goes and coaches
Sirius XM radio or something?
No. He goes and coaches like the Charlotte Hornets or something.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to JJ Redick, yes, of course. If this blows up, everyone's going to laugh and be like, of course it blew up. Why'd you pick a guy with no experience who was just LeBron's best friend? He coached 4th graders. Like he had, blah, blah, blah. And if it works, it'll be the opposite. Well, of course, he was LeBron's guy. LeBron's coaching the team. He's so smart, blah, blah, blah. So, I think either way, the agendas are kind of written for whatever scenario happens. Like you said, it's a high-pressure job. Everything you say and do is going to be scrutinized. You're in a magnifying glass, and it gets hot quickly in LA. It doesn't even have to be a big deal for things like that to happen. Look at Darvin Ham. He continued to get berated the whole time, even though his record was pretty good, and it took him to the Western Conference Finals. He got let go. Vogel won a title. They blew that team up, and he got destroyed for it. It's just a hard job. There's a reason why. The longest tenured coach since Phil Jackson is actually Walton, of all people, since he's left. And that's right. Yeah, that's right. Luke,
Wow.
since Phil, I think he coached 3 or 4 years. That's the longest anyone has had. And the only reason he got it that far is because the team was in a rebuild and people weren't really caring. The minute he got LeBron, that was it. He got LeBron, the standard rose, and he was out of there after a season. So that's what it's been like because the pressure is so high and the demand is borderline unrealistic, right? It's title or bust, and the fans don't want to hear. The last thing they're gonna want to hear is he's new. They're like, oh, so too bad, shouldn't have got him then, right? So it's going to be a tough spot. So as far as the press conference, I always say it with those press conferences, that one media day, that kind of thing. You can't really win too much in those press conferences, but you can lose. So what you really want to do is just not lose. Anything to lose. He was charismatic. He was very well spoken. He was intelligent. He was charming. He played the part. That's all you can do during that 50-minute slot you have. Just play the part and look like, you know what? I'm buying into it. And overall, he did that. He got the job done. He was playful, and he acknowledged the flaws he has. He's like, yeah, I get why you guys were interested in Dan Hurley. He's a 2-time champion, and I'm won 2 times in 4th grade, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. I don't have, experience. I don't care about what Dime says. I don't give an F. I just need to win. If I win, that's all that matters. If I don't, yeah, he'll be right, and who cares? I don't care about that. So I think he won points with that. Again, does that mean to be a great coach? No, it just means, hey, that's what he could do today. He's not coaching today. All he can do is win the PR game. And I think at least on that first day, he won that PR battle. We'll see if he coaches in Summer League. He kind of hinted maybe yes, maybe no. He didn't want to give a full answer. And then obviously when the preseason starts, the NBA season starts, media day, we're going to see a lot more of JJ and see how he actually coaches. I'm very interested. He talked a lot about the Lakers needing to rebound better and getting more threes and taking more threes because they were so low on 3-point shots and weren't a very good rebounding team, minus Anthony Davis. The moment AD got off the floor, the team's rebound just plummeted. We talked about it all season, and the plus minuses, right? When he got off the floor, the team was just dying during those 2 4-minute, 5-minute stretches when he was sitting, and they have to fix that. So those are my overall thoughts on JJ. Do you have anything else you want to mention about JJ before we kind of move on, Dime?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting that he said he wanted to use AD as a hub. We've talked about running offense through Anthony Davis a lot over the last couple of years and how you guys don't do that enough, mainly because AD never showed a great ability to pass for you to run an offense through him like that to play make. But I think he definitely grew in that department, like passing out of double teams throughout the course of the season. So, like, at the end of the day, JJ knows what all of us know is that you can't rely on LeBron to create so much at this stage of his career. You definitely, if Anthony Davis is the best player on this team now, which last season we both agreed that he was, then they need to look at him as more of an offensive hub because throughout games, we can't be having the conversation next year of, oh, the best player on the Lakers didn't touch the ball much in the 4th quarter, which we had literally to a crazy degree this past season, and we have had in the 5 years that he's been here. So that's what my thought was. That was encouraging. But then, this charismatic and charming and this stuff. What is he on a date? Like, did he cuss and really got a lot of people angry? Actually,
his hair was good. His hair looked good. He's a handsome young man,
Oh, my God. They used to say this back in the day. Here's the thing.
Like who? Like Pat Riley, right? Slicks the hair.
Don't compare him to the Godfather. Are you kidding? This is, violation.
I gotta get a quote from Pat Riley being like, I can see it. I gotta get Pat Riley just give me a little. Like, what do you think about JJ Redick comparing to him? He's like, oh yeah, I see it. Like, I just need him to, even if it's fake, just say it so I can write it because I would love to.
Pat Riley knows ball. He's not gonna say that. Come on, man.
I love Pat Riley. I wish he was still around. Obviously, he's doing a great job with Miami. He's done a great job everywhere.
I think he's fumbled a little bit lately, though, if we're being real, and that's my guy. It's my idol. But he's last season, the Heat sat on their hands, and they paid the price for it.
Yeah, sure, but I think that was them always believing in that process and that Heat culture hustle. I think they kind of like how the Warriors ran it back. They thought, oh, we'll get it together. I think this year you're going to see a different Heat team because of that. And you kind of heard him say it, right? When he even checked Butler when he's like talking about, oh, what would have happened if he was there? He's like, if you're not playing, shut up. So I think we're gonna get old Pat Riley back this season for sure.
You're right. Let me ask you a question before we move on. Do you believe the reports that LeBron really had nothing to do with this and that AD was hands-on, but LeBron stood in the shadows?
So yes, I do. Now here's what I'll say about that. Dime. There's a certain unnamed cognac, since they're not sponsored by us, right? That I love to drink. And anyone who knows me knows I like to drink it. So it's like, so this unnamed cognac, it's like if you were coming to my house and you're like, hey, Edwin, I want to bring something. And I'm like, you're like, what kind of alcohol do you like? And you already know. I'm like, well, you can bring whatever you want. You know what I like. You're probably going to bring that unnamed cognac because you're like, I know, Edwin. You don't have to ask me what I want when you already know what I want. So do I think LeBron actually backed off? I actually think he did. I think he said, hey, y'all got it. He's like, because you'd have to be an idiot to not know that he doesn't like JJ Redick and his son on the Lakers. Like, you don't have to ask him. So I think I do think he didn't. I don't think he had private conversation. Was like, hey, make sure I don't like Hurley. I think he's like, y'all got it. Y'all know what I want. I don't have to tell you. Everyone knows. The world knows. So I do think he did back off, and I do believe that they had conversations with AD, and they are making AD the guy. Everyone's been talking about it for a couple years now. Even Bron, he'll mention it. He'll be like, it's not my team. It's AD's team. They've definitely handed that mantle. Now it's time to hand that mantle in the actual offense. And that's what I'm hoping, like you mentioned with the hub thing that they do with JJ Redick. Embiid runs a lot of the offense. Joker definitely runs the offense. Giannis, basketball, top of the key, making decisions. You see that often with the dominant bigs. If that's what AD is, he needs to be put in those kind of situations. And he really isn't. So let's see if he can do it. Let's see what JJ comes up with. And let's see if he can execute on that. Like you said, he had trouble before with double teams. His handles aren't that good. Let's see if he can kind of grow into that role. If he's the guy, show it, give him a chance. And then if it doesn't work, we can always switch and adjust things. So that's what I'm excited about. But yes, I do believe him. Mainly because you don't have to ask him if he likes his best friend JJ as the coach. They already knew, and I think he could back off because he knew that they knew what he wanted.
This is just crazy, man. I mean, just I actually believe you, but what the world that we're living in today, you start a podcast with a guy, get him hired to be your coach months later, and then you got your son drafted. I mean, LeBron's living the dream world right now, is he not? Like this is fantasy land. Like this is out of a TV show.
This is 2K right here, you know?
Oh my God, seriously. My last question is, I always say the NBA is like a telenovela now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe JJ they didn't speak to LeBron in the coming days before it?
Do I believe? No.
Yeah.
That I don't believe.
No way.
He's like, no, we talk every day, but we don't. We just, you know,
conveniently didn't talk about this.
Separate church and state. No, that I do not believe.
Yeah.
I that one again, just an opinion. I don't have any information. I'm guessing he asked him how it was going.
Yeah.
Did he want to take it? Is he gonna take it? You know, why haven't you signed yet? What's up with the Hurley stuff? I'm guessing just like you talk to a friend about a job that you're like 2 interviews in, 3 interviews in. I'm guessing yes, he did. That I do not believe. I'm like, okay. So you guys just turn the mics on and be like, hey, let's not talk Lakers basketball and then I might be your boss in like another week or something. Let's just ignore that. No, that I don't believe. That's like that's one of those you know, everyone's just kind of saying the same thing, but okay. But again, I can't prove it. I mean, what am I gonna do? Look up the AT&T phone records between or the tape recording of the conversations they had to make sure. That yeah, you're right. That one, yeah, I got a British to sell you if you believe they did not talk at all about the job, you know, when they're both very involved in that. All right, so that's it. Now we're gonna go to the Sparks. It's an interesting episode today because normally it's been all Sparks because they're in the heat of their season, and you know, Lakers and Clippers are not. But today with the draft and free agency coming up, it was important to get those things there. And also, Sparks, it's been rough to say the least. Dime, last time we talked, the Sparks lost, and since then we missed an episode because you know you were out there eating chicken wings in Atlanta, you know, lemon pepper wings maybe, and having the blast there, Copa America stuff. And we skipped that week so you can enjoy yourself there. And I'm kind of glad we did because, I mean, it's been nothing but losing, right? Like the team's just losing and losing and losing. They've lost. They 0-6 during their road trip. It was a disaster. They have one more game coming up. Actually, I think 0-5 in the road trip, 6 total losses, if I'm not mistaken. But they have one more against the Mercury. So it's just looking rough. I can't wait for them to come back home and hopefully they can right things. But so much has happened. We're not going to go through every game because it's also getting late. And also, they're all losses. So I really don't want to talk about 5-6 losses in a row. We're just going to kind of summarize it. And I think the biggest thing is, of course, the biggest loss wasn't a result. It was what happened during the game. And that was when Cameron Brink unfortunately tore her ACL. She was driving to the paint, non-contact. She just fell. And unfortunately, though, it was a worst-case scenario. We didn't know at the time, but it didn't look good. And the next day, it was confirmed through, you know, MRIs and everything that she tore her ACL. She's essentially out definitely for the season. Dime, What was your experience like? I see your head's down there. What was your experience? Did you see it live? Did you hear about it on Twitter? Did you watch it? Like, break it down for me, because I saw it, not live, but I was watching the game in real time, so I saw everything that happened and was writing about it. What was your experience? Hearing the news, seeing what happened.
No, I don't remember exactly what I was doing that I wasn't able to watch the game live, but saw the news when I landed in Atlanta for Copa America, and I was just like crushed, man. Like, I don't remember being that sad. And as crazy as this sounds, with all the Kawhi injuries, I guess since last year in the playoffs and Kawhi got hurt, but I hadn't been that sad for an athlete getting hurt in a little while, in about a year. It's not even that long, but this year's a rebuilding year for us. The whole joy of it was seeing Cam and Rakia develop day by day, and I have talked about it and beaten it like a dead horse this season on this show, that I'm just enjoying the Sparks so much because of the homegrown talent that we don't have with the Lakers and the Clippers right now, and being able to see the journey of Cam and Rakia. And Cam is just such a great talent, two-way talent that we were seeing improve on a game-to-game basis. And she was actually playing well in was it the Dream game, I think it was the Dream game. She was playing very well because she got injured very early in that Sun game.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that not only are we going to be a worse team now, the main thing that sucks is we're not going to see Cam really have a full rookie season. And that just hurts from a development perspective. And of course, I don't think it's going to hurt her long term, but it's like next season, she's basically doing it over again for the most part. She didn't really get to the halfway point or anything like that. So it just absolutely sucks. I feel so sorry for her. And I can't wait till she comes back, man. But the rest of the season, hey, let Rakia cook. Hashtag let Rakia cook, man. I'm all aboard the train. So that's all I have to say about that. And we're definitely not going to be very good. I'm even more so confident that we're going to be the worst team in the West. Time to tank for Paige.
Tank for Paige. Yeah, that's it's starting to look that way, right? Right now, there's a 3-way tie for the worst record. Indiana, Dallas, and Los Angeles all have a 4-13 record. So the tanking's on. Oh, Washington.
Washington's
sorry,
worse.
not Washington, not Indiana. Sorry,
okay.
Washington. I'm thinking of like way back in the beginning when they were like that. Yeah, Washington, Dallas, and Los Angeles have 4-13 records. So those three are at the bottom, all tied for the worst record. And just like the NBA, it's based on percentage. Just because you have the worst record does not mean you'll get the number one pick. It just means you'll have the number one chances to get the number one pick. So right now they split all that percentages right there for the top pick. So we'll see how those things go. Yeah, and that's the bummer. This year was never going to be about wins and losses. It was going to be about development. And hopefully you get some wins with the young players playing. And yeah, everyone, I've never seen so many people in LA just so devastated. It was, again, since the Sparks kind of unify all of us, we were all watching. And again, it's a good story. She's a great player. It was exciting. It was fun. Maybe a DPOY candidate is a rookie. And then the other part that, people weren't thinking about till after was now she's not going to get an Olympic opportunity. She made the 3x3 team, which actually won the gold in 2020, the 2020 Olympics. So she had a chance to, she was on the team and she was going to have a great chance to get the gold. And now that opportunity was robbed of her. And that's a 4-year journey. Who knows if she'll, like, it sucks. And that was another big bummer. She was going to have that chance. And now that's taken away from her. So hopefully she recovers. Like you said, I'm not worried about her career. It's just the year. And yeah, next year, that makes it another year where it's going to be like, you didn't get those reps. You didn't get a chance to hit the rookie wall and experience all that. So that all is a bummer. But the good news is, hopefully she'll heal well, and hopefully she'll have a nice rest here where she can just kind of, not play overseas or anything and just kind of rest up and be ready for next season. And like you said, hey, maybe it will be tank for Paige. I still don't want to get there quite yet, but let's see where we are after the Olympic break. It might be, you're right, it might be the best thing to do. Just say, hey, rack up the losses, get Paige. And then Paige, Rakia, Brink, Hamby, that's a squad. Now we got something interesting there. All you need to do is get like a really good backup guard, and you have a really nice team there. So things can turn quickly in the WNBA for sure.
Paige, man, she would be a superstar in LA. I mean, filling up the seats would be amazing. Look, we talked about it with the Sparks, right? Like, there are just so many stretches in games where we just don't have that creation, that especially on the perimeter. It's really dependent on if Lexi Brown's having a good game or not. And I think from what I've seen, and maybe you can correct me, maybe there's more to it that I haven't seen, but Lexi to me is someone that comes off the bench and can give you instant offense. And I think that's what she is in the WNBA. I don't know if she's a starter on a very good team. She's definitely an exciting player. but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, right now the Sparks are not starting her, but we should acknowledge that we did make a starting lineup change throughout on the course of this road trip, and that's that we've gone with Ari McDonald to start uh, instead of Laisha Clarendon.
Late.
And that's because we wanted more juice, offensively. With Ari McDonald, she's got a better three ball. So they go over the screen. She's so fast off the bounce. I think actually one of the fastest players in the league that I've seen off the bounce.
Mm,
And if you look at her game log, it's now 8 straight games with 20 or more minutes, and she had, besides the last Liberty loss, 6 straight games with double figure scoring. So she's
yeah,
been a pretty consistent, rising piece for us, and she's only been in the league for 4 years. So there's some upside there as well. I think Ari McDonald's best days are still ahead of her, and I didn't realize, how good she really was. So, we did give up Jordan Canada. Good to get somebody in return that can put some pressure at the rim. And then also Rickea Jackson. There's been some games recently where she's consistently getting in double figures. So I like it when she catches the ball close to the basket, especially on the move. The one thing I want to see from her, though, is she's got that turnaround over the right shoulder, down pat, especially that one-legged fade. That's like her
yeah,
move. But there's times where she's getting, forced to the middle of the floor, and I would like to see her stop and pop for that mid-range going to her right instead of kind of always pivoting and turning back to that shoulder. But man, I'm loving seeing her develop more and more, and I think we just need to keep on giving her the ball. There are going to be some questionable shots. There are going to be some tough shots, but this is going to be about development, and we'd be blowing a big opportunity not getting Rickea enough reps, enough touches in isolation and all that stuff. But I do think Coach Miller and the Sparks staff and just Rickea in general are looking to do that more recently. I'm going to look at her game log as you start talking, but it seems like it
sure.
from the outside. So, and one thing I have to say too, just to end it off, Edwin, this Sparks team never quits. We compete in almost every single game. There's only been 2 games this season where we got blown out and absolutely wrecked. Actually, 3.
Yeah,
The Lynx game at Staples Center, the Mercury game on the road, and the Sky game on the road. Every other game, whether it's against Connecticut, whether it's against New York, against Las Vegas, we compete. Even the game at Minnesota recently, we compete. So that's the least you could ask for. A lot of times we play in these teams, we're not nearly as talented as them. Like, it's not
right.
much you can say. It's hard for me to get mad at them.
Yeah,
John Quill Jones, by the way, I don't know why she's not more popular. That is an incredible basketball player,
yeah,
dude.
she's really
Absolutely
good.
incredible. I could go another 30 minutes talking about what she was doing to us, but go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. John Cole is a monster. She's been a monster. I think she's one for some. I don't know. I don't know what it is that she doesn't get that kind of love, but no, people who know, yeah, it's that's a bully down there. So yeah, I agree with you. The McDonald change, I was asking for it like literally the day before it was the officially done. I put it in the player grades at Silver Screen and Roll. She needed to replace Clarendon. It was time to bench her, and they finally did it. Like you said, they need more offensive juice. Too many games, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes scoreless, and always in pivotal points in the game, and the other team goes on a run, and it just buries them. They still haven't solved that problem. The offense still needs work, but putting McDonald in the starting lineup has definitely helped. You're right, Rickea, the more aggressive, more buckets, more chances. And Lee, now she's starting, she's getting more time. It's still a little shaky. She's still learning, but you also have to see how much you have from her and what she can and can't give you. So this is another opportunity to kind of learn that as well. Like you said, they're not going to win a lot of games, so you need to learn what you can learn from the team with the players you have for next year. And one more thing, and then I'll throw it back to you, is also Hamby. Again, it's a weird, like, good thing, but for her now, she got that Olympic spot. So like, props to her. She's been having a great season. She's likely going to be an all-star, and she's also going to be rewarded. There still will be Sparks representation in the 3x3 team. Now it'll be Hamby, and I can't wait to see her, hopefully bring the medal home because I want to see USA win everything.
Yeah, great for De'Erica, man. She deserves it. She's been amazing this year. Our best player by far. Definitely will be an all-star unless there's some kind of absolute travesty or complete mistake. But yeah, man, it's gonna be tough. As far as Rickea, I found it was 3 straight games of double figures against. She had a 19-10 game against the Lynx. We only lost by 5. Then 16 against Atlanta. That was the game I wanted us to win. One thing I've noticed, Edwin, is that we have a tough time closing quarters. Like, we'll be in a game, and then all of a sudden we'll just get absolutely blitzed the last 2 to 3 minutes of a quarter, and then we're down by like 9 going into the next one. That's something I hope they'll be clean up a bit. But I think this is a real chance too for players like Ray Burrell, and who had a good game that first one against the Liberty, and Zaya Cook, and to get more on-ball reps, just to get more consistent reps. As far as Ray Burrell, she's like a really solid 3-and-D player, can attack a closeout, make a play, good athlete, just to consistently get minutes. I personally think she'd be getting minutes every game because she's one of those that, like, at the very least, she's got length and size defensively. And then Zaya Cook, she definitely has some juice off the bounce. There was one unit we had against the Liberty where we legitimately had no shot creator that could get their own, besides Zaya, and then an occasional throw into the post to Lee. So maybe you'll see a little bit of her because she's got some scoring juice off the bounce that we just haven't consistently seen so far this season. And I know a lot of the South Carolina fans have been clamoring for her to get more minutes and stuff like that. So we'll see, man. To me, it's all about Rakia. Like, just keep getting her reps. Like, I think she's coming along. It's just the competition is stiff, man. Like, we just don't have that great of a team right now relative to the league. And It is what it is. But yeah, we're gonna end it off by talking about the other Olympic nod.
Yeah, we'll do the other Olympic nod, and then we'll do the we'll end it with the games coming up this week. Only got a couple for the Spark. So turns out, in case you were wondering, hey, Kawhi, he got hurt. Like, is he gonna play? Guess what? Fear not. He is going to be an American Patriot and represent the red, white, and blue in the Olympics. I want to pull up here for you, Dime, a quote from the Clippers on this. They did talk about it today, just like the Lakers had their Rob Pelinka, kind of talk about things that were happening with the Lakers with their draft picks and things of that nature. They did go out here and talk about Kawhi and about him playing. So here, let me pull it up real quick. Let me see. I thought I saved it, but it looks like I didn't. Let me see if I can pull it up here because I want to get Dime's opinion on this, because we were talking privately before this, and he was very animated about the whole thing. Let's see. Oh, I can't find it. Give me one more second here.
Well,
let me try to see if I can get it.
Let's just no, I was gonna say, I mean, my thoughts. Should I just start saying my thoughts? I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Why don't you preface it from? We'll actually do it in reverse, and we'll have you kind of do it. So why? Because here's the thing. Just tell me what you. Let's go this way. Kawhi is gonna play in the Olympics after missing some time with the injury in the playoffs. Wasn't able to play there. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like, I feel like the club soccer fans do when a player goes on international break, but the difference is no soccer fan would get mad at a player for going to the tournament in the summer. You know what I mean? The World Cup or the Euro Cup or whatever, because it's off season. But there's not a situation quite like this. 4 straight playoffs, we haven't had our guy. Any extra games in a full speed setting that don't have Clippers on the front of your jersey, to me, should not even be playing in. You could say that's selfish of me to say that, because I'm not, like, if Kawhi does have a goal to play for Team USA, I'm like ignoring that. But it's like, what about the fan base's goal to win the championship for the first time? That we have failed miserably in that regard because of Kawhi's body, more than anything. The only positive I can see out of this is increasing his trade value in front of the world. Like, seriously, I'm not. No, I'm being dead serious. It's insane to me. Our best player is the biggest problem with our franchise because of his health. Any full speed to me is like, it's just a risk that he could get hurt. I just think it's insane, man. Like, it's a lose-lose. I'm gonna be watching them, and if he does well, it's like, good to see Kawhi healthy again. But like, it's always gonna be that I wish I saw him in the playoffs for my team. And then if he doesn't do great, I don't really care. It just doesn't look great. But like, if he does actually get hurt, it's the worst thing in the world, because there's gonna be crazy outrage, and quite frankly, warranted outrage. And the reason why I don't like when people say that's how I feel about this player on my team. Has your player missed 4 straight postseasons? Like, there's no other star in the league that you can say that about. Yeah. So, I mean, that was my issue, man. It's like at some point, it's like, are these players starving to win the Clippers their first championship? Because I got the sense when we had him that CP3 was. The one thing I'll never take away from Chris Paul, and we know Kobe was always, but we know that the thing about CP3 is he wanted it. He wanted it bad. I don't think he won because of lack of trying, but there just was so much more pride, it felt like. And I'm not, I mean, you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't think there's enough pride in the Clippers' current team with like winning us our first chip. And I know Laker fans are going to say, well, that's because you don't have any fans. I mean, that's just not true. Our stadium is packed basically every single night. It's just, I don't know, man. That's all I have to say about it. I almost want USA to lose so then he comes back home early.
Oh, okay, let's not go crazy.
I've never been that big of a USA basketball fan. It's just like we stack all the talent and we have a complete advantage over everyone else. I don't see the fun in that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now I'm getting upset. You're bringing out my red, white, and blue, which I'm not. I'm not the biggest American
hey
fan,
man,
period.
Hey, but here's the thing though. You don't root for our soccer team, and I was rooting for them today. They lost to Panama. You feel me?
Yeah, I'm glad you guys lost because we are really sorry. We're really sorry.
You're about to go on a patriotic rant, and now you're talking about it's you guys.
Not in soccer, because in soccer, y'all are so Eurocentric. And again, I like Liverpool. That's my team too. But I also like the Galaxy. That's my team here. So I root for both. But I don't like the American soccer fan because they don't know anything. They don't care. They're trying to do the freaking wave like idiots out there.
And Mexican fans do the wave too. Early in the game.
That's not beside the fact. Beside the fact. And they're like, oh, the MLS sucks. The MLS sucks. I root for, Manchester City. I like root for real soccer. I'm like, well, you don't root for real soccer in the summer because USA's the 2-pack of ass. That's what you don't root for. And that's why the only time they went past us was when we choked in 1998 or 2002? Yeah, 98 against the 2-0. Yeah. So which I'm still upset about. 2002. Yeah, 02. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So whatever. So yeah, I don't like.
They did this.
I don't like the men. The women I like. They're cool.
Because they're good.
No, I respect them. I'm not gonna do that with them. Also, they don't have the whole USA thing. A lot of broy people be rude. I don't like the energy. It's a lot of white dudes with their shirts off. I'm not about that.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, the American Outlaws. Come on, get out of here with that. Get out of there with that garbage. So yeah, I'm glad they lost to Panama. That was a joke. It's embarrassing. They choked. Mexico choked. These two teams are just awful in execution. It's been horrendous. But I've been telling you, Mexico's been in a down spell since the World Cup. I told you they weren't going to make out the group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy we mentioned that because even though this is a basketball show, USA and Mexico right now in soccer and Copa America is relevant, especially to our community. So like,
yeah, and it's in SoFi, right? My sister, shout out to my sister. She went to the Mexico game. Unfortunately, she had great seats and all that. She was there in SoFi, great energy, but of course she saw them lose, which was a joke. Yeah.
Hey,
Venezuela and Panama. Come on.
Hey, forgive me though for wanting I'm sorry. I'm not saying I don't root for US. I just like watch. I want them to win, but like I'm not tripping if they lose. Basically.
No, I am tripping because I don't like. And again, I'm not one of those like anti the game growing, but I just don't like everyone being like, oh, they've catched up the American play. I'm like, you know what? Stop it. If we bring our best, which is what we're gonna do, when we bring like fine, you want to say that Europe's gotten better and the talent's more spread around. I'll give you that. But let's not pretend that we don't know who number one is. USA. Okay, put our best 10 against your best 10. We're going to wax you. It's going to be a 20-point win. And then you're going to be talking about bring back the collegiate players because it's not going to be fair. Okay. That's what I want to see this summer.
Let me rephrase. I do like Team USA when I feel as though they're playing in a way that's not just a collection of talent going out there and out-talenting teams like the 2012 team. I think that I like the Redeem team in 08. Like I actually rooted for them hard. Because we obviously had come off losses in the FIBA World Cup and in the Olympics in 04. Yeah. So I was really on board with that Redeem team. I actually have a poster of them like right around my room, right in my room. So
I don't know if I'm sure I have a picture of. Do I have a picture of LeBron? Oh, I got it's far off, but I got one of LeBron of Kobe in the number 10 jersey. It's just off the screen here. So yeah. I got that one. I don't think I have LeBron in Team USA anywhere, but
I don't think the 2012 team was that special. I watched all their games. They literally had to have LeBron bail them out against Lithuania. Like, I just think I really think that they were just a collection of talent. And people use the average margin of victory for a debate topic when we had that game against Nigeria that we just blew them out of the water and that completely skewed everything. So, like, all I have to say is I don't like when I see this group of talented players and they can't break a zone. They can't handle the physicality of FIBA. I hope those problems don't arise with this team. You know what I mean? But my whole thing is I just want Kawhi not to get hurt because I don't want him to hurt his value. The main thing is I want Kawhi's value high because inevitably we need to trade this guy.
So here's what Lawrence Frank said about Kawhi's recovery and preparing for the Olympics. So, quote, his biggest concern, like all of our concerns, is long-term health. He's not going to do anything that jeopardizes his long-term health. ... Wants to have a long career, end quote. And there you go. So said he's not jeopardizing it. Kind of something Diamond's always mentioned, that it doesn't jeopardize anything. He's playing. So I get what you're saying, Dime. I know you're not alone. There's a lot of Clipper fans who are upset about this and feel like, why don't you do that for us? This and that. Again, is that true? Is that not true? Because he's like, hey, it's bad timing with injuries, right? He's okay now. But I do understand what you're saying. Also there's fatigue from playing in the Olympics. It's hard. You saw with Austin Reeves, right? Because now the time that you're supposed to rest, you're not going to rest. You're going to be doing media coverage. You're going to be doing trainings. You're going to be doing workouts. You're going to be traveling around. You're going to be playing high-level basketball for a month, or at least being prepared to play high-level basketball for a month. And that means your off-season is going to be really cut short. How is that going to affect the regular season at the start because you're exhausted because you didn't really get a break? I can totally see that. And we saw that happen to players who came back from the Olympics. They kind of struggled. They did not come in fresh and like in midseason form. They actually came in kind of like, man, I'm kind of beat up because, I played, 13 games against, FIBA talent and it was tough. And then, now I had to go right into training camp. I didn't get the time to kind of reset myself. So I understand that, but looks like Kawhi's going to play. We'll see. Hopefully he doesn't have a mishap where he has to miss because of that and all that. But we're going to have to see how that goes. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap it up with the pair of games that the Sparks have. First game is going to be on Friday, which is tomorrow, 7 o'clock. They're finishing up this road trip that's been awful. They've lost every game. They're playing the Phoenix Mercury. So, Dime, who do you have winning that one?
I mean, it should be Phoenix, but you know what? I'm going to say we break this.
Nice. I do too. I actually think they're going to win this one. I just feel like you said it's time, get the win, and end the losing streak. And luckily after that, they are back in Los Angeles on Tuesday. Woo! They're playing, yes, thank goodness. They're playing the Washington Mystics. So not exactly the best team in the world. So definitely a good chance to get a win. Dime, who do you have winning against Los Angeles, Washington on Tuesday?
I will be there. I don't have a ticket yet.
Okay.
It's Tuesday game. I'm definitely down to be there. And oh my God, Edwin, dude, the drive. So you talked about that your sister went to the Mexico game. I went to the Brazil game 2 days before, and I'm going to post the video on my channel tomorrow. By the way, if you haven't checked out my Argentina vlog, please go check it out. It was awesome. One of the best videos I've ever done. What was I going to say? But the parking, dude, the getting out of SoFi was horrible. Driving on the 405 at that time was horrible. I am not quite looking forward to that when it comes to the Intuit Dome.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, the 10, bro, is a straight shot. It's much easier. And getting back onto the freeway outside of the Staples Center parking lots, or the parking lots outside of Staples Center, is so much more convenient. So I like any chance I get to go back there is honestly a good time. Like, it's easy for me. So yeah, Sparks Mystics, I'll be there, and we're gonna win that game.
Yeah, I also think we're gonna win that game. And yeah, fun fact, more lore with my sister there. She called me when she was like 10 minutes away, and she's like, "Hey, what's up with parking, man? Like, this is nuts." And I had to tell her, I'm like, "Oh yeah, just like you, I've been to SoFi so much because of Rams games." I'm like, "Okay, here's where you go. Go. I think you should go park at the Forum. You just need X amount of money, and like it's kind of expensive." So yeah, I'll also be curious. I'm not sure when my first trip to the Intuit Dome is going to be. I'm either going to be there like day one just for the curiosity, or I'm going to wait till Lakers Clippers. I'm not sure. But I'm curious to see, how does traffic flow? How is parking? How easy is it to get in and out? Because for SoFi, for Rams, it's a nightmare. You just know it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to get in. It's a nightmare to get out. You can't leave early or late. You're not going to avoid it. It's just jam-packed because the stadium's so big and there's just not enough parking spots for the amount of people, and the mat's just not there. So I'm very curious to see if Intuit Dome has a better solution. And that's not even including, now Inglewood's like the place to be when there's a concert across the street at SoFi and there's a game at Intuit Dome. Like, there's so many different things and events, and then again, the Forum's got its own schedule of stuff. How many times are we going to have like 3 things happening at once? Maybe like a Rams game at 12, a Clippers game at 7, and, Bruno Mars is playing at the Forum at 5, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, why are there like 250,000 people in Inglewood tonight? And like, what does that do for parking? I'm very curious to see how they navigate that and how that works. So yeah, it's something we're going to have to figure out, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the Sparks do this week. So next week we'll probably do a pod. I don't know. We'll see if maybe we'll squeeze one in on Wednesday or something like that, or Thursday after the Sparks play and after some of this free agency stuff goes down, because it's going to be very busy. Both teams might look dramatically different in LA after this weekend. We'll see what happens.
You think the Lakers will look dramatically different?
Yeah, I do. I think that, well, one, technically, there could be no LeBron, no D'Lo for a few hours or a few days, especially D'Lo. We don't know.
D'Lo, yes.
And we don't know what's going to happen with the fringe players. What happens with Max Christie in his contract? What happens with some of the bigs that were out there? So I do think the team will look dramatically different. I don't think maybe like the main core starting five might, but there's still 2 draft picks that can trade. There's still some moves that can still happen. Yeah, I do think that we'll. I think if we look at a screenshot of the roster tonight and a picture of the roster this time next week, it's going to have 5 or 6 different names. I do think that's going to happen. It just might not be a big splash, but yeah.
So let me ask you this, Evan, before we end.
Sure.
How many people do you think are watching this show right now?
A couple hundred maybe. I'm not sure. What do we got?
You got more pull than you think, brother. I want to give a shout out to everybody, man. I don't know if this number is actually real. You guys got to prove it to me. So if you guys enjoyed the show, you need to tag Edwin and I on Twitter, because 2,700 people watching right now. Yo, LA, you guys are the best. If you're coming from wherever you are, you guys are amazing. Come support the channel. If you want to actually, donate to the channel, donate to the show, come to YouTube next episode, give us the super chats, or you can even make a super comment on my channel. And obviously Edwin and I'll send the money to Edwin as well. We split it and stuff. But if you want to support the show, go ahead there. If you're actually watching the show, 2,000 plus is crazy. Please tag us on Twitter and let us know what you thought of the show right after this is over. You can also follow us on our social medias, but you can also listen to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify every week, talking Clippers, Lakers, and Sparks. No other show that does that exact thing. And yeah, check out all of Edwin's content. He's writing articles every single day.
Every day.
Every single day.
They won't let me get a day off. Damn, I'm like, I don't even know when I'm off next. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. It's not looking good, but yeah, we love it. We love y'all. Thank you so much. That's the end of episode 33 of Basketball on Figueroa. Once again, I'm Edwin Garcia. That was Darian Viziri, aka Dime Dropper. We out.